We are going to now move on to the presentation by Kevin Fetherston on the fate and future of a floodplain foundational species, black cottonwood forest in a regulated Yakima River basin. And Kevin Fetherston is going to be our presenter today. He is a forest ecologist with natural systems design. His passion is restoring and conserving riverine and riparian forest landscapes. So let me go ahead and add Kevin to the main stage. All right, Kevin, we are seeing your presentation, although looks like it's in notes mode. There you go. Great. All right, take it away, Kevin.
Good morning. Thank you, Carrie. As Carrie mentioned, I'm a forest ecologist with Natural Systems Design, and I'm presenting the findings of our research team made up of Tom Elliott, Bridger Cohan, biologists from the Yakima Nation, Katrina Strathman, plant ecologist from Mid-Columbia Fisheries Enhancement Group, geomorphologist Scott Katz, and ecologist Megan Whiteside from Natural Systems Design. Back to the start. The primary question we are seeking to answer in our research is, what is the fate and the future of the Yakima River black cottonwood forest? Here you're looking at the Yakima River and the beautiful black cottonwood forest along the Wapato Reach of the lower Yakima within the Yakima Nation Reservation. That's Mount Adams in the background. And I'd like to ask you to consider what your first impressions are of the scene, of the river and of the cottonwood forest. Today, I'm presenting the findings of our ongoing forest research and conservation program being developed by the Yakima Nation together with the Mid-Columbia Fisheries Enhancement Group. Our take-home message today is that the Yakima River cottonwood forest you can see in this picture will be largely lost by the end of the century, and that is its fate if we continue with business as usual. However, the future destiny of the Yakima River and cottonwood forest can be different. And I'm also here today to talk about measures that are being taken to ensure a more vibrant future for the Yakima River and all of its species and the Yakima Nation culture it supports. The Cottonwood Forest and Conservation Restoration Strategy was conceived a few years ago during discussions we were having about the health of the Yakima River forest, sparked by 2007 research conducted by the late Jeff Brotney, along with Stuart Rood and colleagues, which showed that black cottonwood within the Yakima River basin was not generating as a result of basin-wide dam modifications of the natural flow regime. What you see here is a map of the Yakima Basin, along with indicated where the reservoirs and the dam diversions are located. The diversion dams and reservoir system supports $1 billion per year agricultural industry of orchards, vineyards, and hops in the Yakima Valley. At the project inception, we had a fundamental question: what's the long-term prognosis of the health and existence of the Yakima River cottonwood forest? And importantly, what can we do to ensure the health of the cottonwood forest for future generations? Our research programs are focused on the Wapato Reach along 47 miles of the lower Yakima River within the Yakima Nation Reservation, and the Kittitas Reach in the upper Yakima between just above the town of Thorpe to below Ellensburg. We're currently analyzing the results of the Kittitas Reach research, and I will be presenting the findings of our finished Wapato Reach analysis. Black cottonwood, Populus balsamifera subspecies Trichocarpa, is a foundational species within the Yakima River aquatic and riparian ecosystems. It's the dominant and only tree below 2,000 feet in elevation, what you see shaded in green here. By foundational, I mean a species that plays a significant dominant role in the community structure and ecosystem processes. And importantly for our discussion, black cottonwood has a lifespan generally of 100 to 150 years, with a few legacy trees living greater than 200 years. As you can see here, black cottonwood is the dominant or only tree, plays a critical role in generating both riparian and aquatic habitat. As large wood, it creates in-channel aquatic complexity, pools, channel splits, and sloughs, as well as floodplain structure. Cottonwood forests also play a critical avian migratory as well as resident bird habitat, within the semi-arid and arid Columbia Basin. What was observed and documented by Brotney and colleagues is that the Yakima River peak flows are captured by dams and diversion structures. These peak flows, it turns out, are critical to the establishment of black cottonwood. And as a result, along the Wapato Reach, cottonwood ceilings established at lower elevations than with historic flows. And at these lower elevations, they are susceptible to scour and sediment deposition. This process has significantly impacted cottonwood reproduction. In the hydrograph on this slide, unregulated and regulated daily average flows at the Parker gauge are depicted. The quote, recruitment box indicates the flow pattern necessary to support cottonwood seedling recruitment. Under regulated conditions, peak flows are significantly reduced. The falling recession limb is shifted and summer low flow reduced. Again, this has resulted in long-term decline in the cottonwood forest. In our Wapato Reach riparian forest analysis, we mapped cottonwood forest cover in 1949 and 2015 at the upper and lower focus area subreaches seen here on this reach scale map. We also used first return LiDAR to create a vegetation height map that we combined with our vegetation cover map. We also conducted channel change analysis with a number of additional years of aerial photography, giving us data on the amount of 1949 forest lost to erosion and the amount of forest recruited over the historic period of record between 49 and 2015. Together, we calculated a conservative minimal age of the forest height cover types by using previous diameter age dendrochronological relationships developed by Jeff Brotney and Tom Elliott's previous research. We also generated diameter to tree height relationships through field measurements. The objective here was to conservatively provide a minimum age of the current forest to provide a baseline for model projections of trends over the next century. This is a map of the upper focus area, depicts 1949 to 2015. Maintained forest in the blue polygons, that's forest that was there in 49 and again is there in 2015. The forest lost in red polygons, and the forest recruited in green polygons. The HMZ here is the historic channel migration zone, the area in white hatch, the area the channels occupied during the period of record, also known as the active floodplain turnover zone. The maintained forest in blue you see here is a minimum of 60 to 65 years in age. And remember, cottonwood has a lifespan of 100 to 150 years in general. This is a summary table of forest change analysis over the period of 49 to 2015. The important numbers to focus on are those in the yellow columns. And both the upper and lower focus areas are losing cottonwood forests at a significantly faster rate than it is recruited. The upper HMZ is lost at 55 acres per decade as compared to the rate of recruitment of 21 acres a decade. Similar in the lower focus area, the HMZ, the rate of loss is twice as great as the rate of recruitment. Also important to note is that these losses and gains are within the HMZ active fluvial corridor. The non-HMZ surfaces are largely hydroregulation generated terraces through the reduction in peak flows that are rarely engaged now with fluvial processes. Modeling the projection of the Wapato forest through the next century, we held physical conditions to be similar to the period of record. It can be seen that in the yellow columns that virtually 100% of the HMZ forest within both the upper and lower focus areas will be lost. It's also important to note that in those areas of 1940 to 2015 maintained forests will also largely senesce by the end of the century. Now, the implications of the forest modeling exercise is that the entire HMZ forest will be largely lost, with remaining forest fragments in the non-HMZ terraces. This is a total loss of the channel adjacent forest and the foundation of the riparian and aquatic ecosystem. The bad news is that the impacts to salmonids, birds, wildlife, and the Yakima Nation culture will be significant. However, there's also good news. The good news is we know how we created the hydroregulated and development encroachment conditions that impact the riparian cottonwood forest. Therefore, we can change business as usual through an integrated conservation and restoration strategy that includes revegetation and silvicultural treatments, as well as implementation of a riparian flow release program. Okay. Environmental flow releases have been successful on a number of rivers throughout North America for both fish and riparian forests. In fact, there are spring dam smolt releases, which are currently instituted on the Yakima River. We're conducting additional research to identify timing of dam releases and flow levels to achieve specific ecological functions for both salmonids and for cottonwood forest recruitment. So just as we have demonstrated that the existing condition and fate of the Yakima River cottonwood forest is primarily the result of human actions in the form of dam hydroregulation and agricultural and development encroachment, the future of the Yakima riparian forest and aquatic ecosystem can be different with additional human interventions. The future of the Yakima River forest ecosystem may be shaped by implementing a basin-wide conservation and restoration strategy that includes both the Yakima River riparian flow release program and innovative riparian silvicultural treatments. This is the intention of the Yakima Nation and Mid-Columbia Fishery Enhancement Group's research and cottonwood conservation programs. Thank you for listening today. Appreciate it.